traveled with him and saw him every day.
So it's our understanding that you would oftentimes have a big binder or book of talking points. Is that right?
It is not unusual for a White House press secretary to have a binder.
Sure, but I've never been the White House press secretary. So what
Yeah.
usually is included in a binder like that?
Well, that's
and who prepares it?
Yeah, that's why I was sharing. It's not unusual for a White House press secretary to have a binder. It is a collective process.
So by people from your team as well as people from outside of your team, is that right?
People from my team and people outside of my team.
And this would include talking points mainly for you to answer questions at the podium from reporters, or other types of talking points as well, or?
It's the binder serves, the purpose of the binder is to have points in the book to address many topics, domestic, foreign topics primarily.
Were there ever talking points in your book related to President Biden's health, cognitive abilities, mental acuity, kind of all those sorts of related topics?
Yes, because it was questions that the press was asking.
Do you recall what the general theme of those talking points was?
I mean, I did press briefings, so I think what I said is out there on the record about answering those specific questions to the press.
So your public statements reflect exactly what generally would have been put in those binders?
Yes.
And just to clarify, because the question was slightly convoluted.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in a critical way.
Sure.
You said exactly generally reflect. I just want to make clear that I think the answer was probably generally reflects what was in the book.
Yeah, I apologize. Thank you.
No. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No judgment on binders. We're using binders.
As I could see from here.
So did you read the binder? Like, what do you do, Jay? It's a huge binder. You read the binder every night beforehand?
No, just want to make sure this is clear. Like every other White House press secretary, we have binders, notes, whatever you want to call it, because we want to make sure that we are accurate in pushing information out to the American public. And so that's why that exists. As far as my process, I read the binder pretty regularly. I focused on it pretty regularly because that was my job to do so.
And who would prepare talking points regarding President Biden's health for the binder?
That would it depended on if it was certainly any memo or anything like that came out from the doctor. It would certainly have his involvement, and outside of that, it was senior advisors and the communications team.
Do you think Anita Dunn played a role in that in preparation with bullets or memos regarding the president's health?
I can't speak to what she did specifically on anything, memos or anything like that. I can't speak specifically, but she certainly was part of the senior advisors that that my team would speak to about certain issues.
And when you make reference to the doctor, you're speaking about Dr. Kevin O'Connor?
Yes.
And his team, presumably?
It was primarily him directly.
How often would you interact with Dr. O'Connor?
Not often. He would travel. When he traveled with the president, I would certainly interact and see him.
And I assume that when the president's annual health report would come out, you would speak more regularly or in the run-up to that with Dr. O'Connor?
Not in the run-up, mostly afterwards.
And my question was ambiguous. The afterwards meaning after you had gone and spoken in front of the press, or afterwards after his examination?
Yeah, To be clear, I was not involved in the memo process that Dr. O'Connor did. I had no involvement in that. My team and I would put that out there. Whenever the memo was ready, it came to my team and we would share it with the American public. And the times that I engaged with him was usually when there were additional press inquiries or they wanted to understand something better or wanted more clarity in the memo. And that's when somebody from my team would go to him directly just to ask for clarity.
Did Dr. O'Connor ever instruct you or advise you not to mention something?
No.
On the book, the binder of talking points, I think you said various people at various times would contribute to this binder or book. Was there one person who was ultimately responsible for putting it together? Was that you?
Like putting the book together? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's usually a junior person that's in charge of making sure everything is in the book, but I was responsible for it ultimately.
So if there were a talking point about President Biden's health or fitness in the book, would you know, would it be denoted in some way who that came from?
Meaning, can you say more?
So if you were getting a question from the press about President Biden's health and you looked in your book and there was a talking point, a suggested talking point on that topic, was it denoted in some way who had prepared that talking point, or how would you know who had prepared that talking point?
So in nowhere in the book did that exist.
So in general then, how would you know who had prepared a specific talking point?
It depended. I think I explained before that people had portfolios. And so usually a policy or topic or issue was in someone's portfolio. And so they owned that portfolio. And so they would be, that's how I would know where it came from.
And just, I can't remember, and I don't have the transcript in front of me, what you said last hour. You do not remember whose portfolio was President Biden's health. Is that correct?
That usually came from senior advisors in the communications team. And my team, I mean, it was coming from various places, but usually senior advisors were kind of in charge, and that would primarily be Anita Dunn.
What other issues besides President Biden's health were dealt with at the senior advisors level exclusively?
There were a lot of issues. It wasn't just that. You're asking me about the health, but there were a lot of issues. Like if we're announcing, for example, an important policy or legislation, talking to Congress about certain things, that would certainly be at the senior advisor level. So they handled an array of things that we wanted to make sure that they got signed off on.
Is it fair to say that if a particular issue were being handled by the senior advisors, that it was an issue that was significant?
I wouldn't necessarily say that because it was an array of things. Again, talking to leadership or, an important issue that was announcement of a legislation or a policy.
But those sound significant.
They sound significant, but I don't want to limit it to that. It could be, things could rise to that level in any issue.
We'll talk a little bit more about her report, I think, at some point, but so just briefly, and I want to separate, I think her report issue there's kind of two separate issues. So taking the president's memory and the related concerns raised by special counsel Her on that topic, who would have provided talking points about that for the briefing?
That came from Ian and the White House counsel team and Anita Dunn.
So the statement that Ian Sams made, and I believe you may have used this word as well. I don't have it in front of me, so feel free to correct me and we can check as well. But the term gratuitous was brought up a number of times. Was that something that originated with Ian Sams?
That originated from that side of things, yeah. Ian, Anita, and that team, yes.
And just sorry, for clarity's sake, are you saying it is specifically your recollection that it was Ian, or it was that team of people?
My specific recollection, to be more clear, it came from that group of people. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who decided on that word. I can't speak to that.
Sure, but generally it would be Ian Sams who would handle providing talking points out of that office to you.
Yes.
Did you ever, was there ever an instance where you had to go and follow up with Ian Sams about one of those talking points?
Not that I recall.
So not on the her report.
Not that I recall. Did we have conversations? Did we go back and forth? Yes.
And then just quickly on the process of compiling the binder, I know you said various people, including yourself, would put talking points in it. Was there a final review of everything that was added to the binder?
Yeah, from the communications team.
And just the communications team or any other?
Sometimes they would pull in senior advisors, and there's also policy folks as well that would be involved. Sometimes folks from the different agencies would be involved as well, so if it's an issue that's coming from that agency. But the communications team was the primary because they deal with the messaging.
And did President Biden ever review the binder talking points?
What was in my binder? Not that I recall.